Chelsea lost yet again in the league, this time to Sunderland, baby, at home at Stamford Bridge. It's now 3 losses in the league for the champions of the world, in quotation marks from our producer. I mean, fair play, it is. You know, you're the world champions. What do you make of the setback? Is Chelsea's inexperience killing their consistency? That's the first topic for you. Is it the fact you're a young squad? Is that a topic? Is that relevant?
It's relevant to a degree. I think it shows up the sporting directors. It shows them up for what they are. It shows up their greed. It shows you that we've assembled a team with no experience, no know-how, no defence, no decent goalkeeper. And the decisions that are made by the ownership who are trying to maximise the value of the club, trying to make as much money out of the club, trying to extract as much money out of the league and Chelsea as possible, it shows you what they're up to. They aren't trying to win a league. They aren't trying to build a big football team. People constantly tell me how much money we've spent, but we aren't spending money trying to win leagues. We're spending money trying to increase the value of the squad.
Yeah.
And that's causing us massive, massive problems. But equally, we have a better squad, even though they're not buying a particularly decent squad. We have a better squad than Sunderland. And the reason that we didn't win is because we have a manager that isn't really very good. You know, we have a manager who's all right, but he's not a good manager.
Yeah. What about the strike partnership of João Pedro, Mark Guiu?
Yeah.
Weird. I thought Guiu looked a million miles off of it.
Yeah, he did. I mean,
almost like, I know
he went on loan. He
that.
went to Sunderland, and then we had to call him back because, you know, it was like...
It's surreal.
It was absolutely surreal. Like, it's ludicrous, isn't it, that you spend over £1 billion and you've got Mark Guiu up front. It's ludicrous that you spend over £1 billion and you've got Robert Sanchez in goal.
It's crazy.
Like, it's ludicrous that you, on the final day of a transfer window, we're desperate for a centre-half. We didn't go and sign a centre-half. We went and we signed Buonanotte and Garnacho.
You got Akapong coming through.
He's a good player, but that was poor decision-making taking him off. You know, I mean, Tosin Adarabioyo's just not a good footballer. Just not good enough.
He's just a solid Premier League player.
He's not. I don't even think he is. I think he's at
he's
best.
A Fulham player.
At best, he's what you said.
Yeah, Everton.
At worst, he's a good Championship defender. He'd be a good player for West Brom. Be a really good player for West Brom. The decision making by the manager is struggling, and ultimately, he's just a manager by numbers. Like, he's got no personality, Maresca. He's got no charisma.
Do you not think they're playing for him at big moments throughout the season? You think about, again, when you beat PSG.
Do you know
there has been some positivity, and I have seen Chelsea players kind of get around the manager a little bit. I don't know.
I've always, do you know when a manager wins silverware, right? They deserve respect, and I'm always like that. Like, you know, when we talk about Arne Slot, for example, I feel like I'm very generous to Slot because he won the league, and I will always extend a courtesy to somebody who does something as impressive as that. Enzo Maresca, I didn't particularly like him. I certainly didn't want him. We plucked him off the Championship bench of Leicester. We hired him primarily because he had a pre-existing association with Pep Guardiola. We brought him into our club, and I didn't like that mentality. I thought we should have gone for Luis Enrique, but fine, we did it. I have to back him because we signed him. I was never really convinced, but then we went and won silverware. We qualified for the top 4, and then we won in America. So we won in Poland, we won in America.
Yep.
And it was like, look, I don't really like this bloke. I don't really think he's very good. But I have to hold my hands up and say, maybe I'm wrong because he's done this. But all of the problems were there. And when you analyse it, you know, if you analyse Chelsea qualifying for the top 4, did we really do well to qualify for the top 4? Or did Nottingham Forest make a total pig's ear of it?
And Tottenham and Manchester United.
And Manchester United. But we did as well.
And
we
Villa.
went to St James's Park. We were live on the club. We went to St James's Park in a morning game. And we had to win at St James's in order to qualify for the Champions League. So we thought. We couldn't have predicted that Nottingham Forest were going to lose the amount of games that they lost. We had to win at St James's Park. We got beat 2-0.
Yeah.
You know, like, we didn't take the top 4 race by storm.
Flat.
We got lucky.
Yeah.
Then you look at winning the Conference League. I mean, we played teams in that competition that I've never heard of. Like, we literally played a team. I've worked in football my entire life. I've never heard of Noah. Never. I've never, ever heard of them. We also played, en route to winning it, Shamrock Rovers.
Yeah, it's not great.
Right, so you go, right, Chelsea finish in the top 4. Okay, let's explore that. Not particularly impressive. Chelsea win the Conference League. Okay, let's explore that. Not particularly impressive. Okay, Chelsea win in the States. What you can't say is beating Paris Saint-Germain in that final is wicked. But how important is a trophy is a debate. And then how did we get there?
What's he getting wrong against Sunderland? Because you started off brightly. Garnacho scores his first goal in the league for Chelsea.
Yeah.
It was a great finish.
Bad substitutions.
Early in
Taking
the
off
game.
Ampong was a bad move.
So why has he done that?
Bad decision making.
He thinks there's more experience coming off the bench.
Bad decision making, yeah.
So it's the substitutions, but is it about application?
Substitutions aren't good. I don't think he
winners?
picks. I don't think he's a particularly inspiring manager. I don't think his tactics are particularly insightful. Like, you know exactly how Chelsea are going to play.
Yes.
Like, I don't think, he is the very definition of a non-pragmatic manager.
Yeah.
He is a system manager down to the very T. The other thing that he hasn't got, he's got no charisma. Like, some managers of Chelsea over the years, Vialli, Hullet, Mourinho,
Yeah.
Antonio Conte, they capture you, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Iconic in their way.
Yeah.
Maresca is none of that. And then even the other managers that maybe we haven't had or maybe the other managers that we've had that didn't work out. Frank Lampard, obviously an icon, especially at Chelsea. Luis Felipe Scolari, obviously an icon, didn't work at Chelsea. Roberto Di Matteo, one of our greatest ever. Every manager that has been successful at Chelsea has been someone. This guy's nobody.
It's hard. I think a system manager like Enzo Maresca, maybe it works with Man City right now. Maybe it works with Liverpool like it did last season. Because you're such a young squad, you need a bit of a man manager. You need It reminds me of Manchester City when the takeover just taken on. Mark Hughes was obviously a famous name in football, but not a real. You don't want to play for Mark Hughes. He's a little bit of a dry character as a manager, isn't he? Mancini comes in. You want to run through a brick wall for Mancini. A bit like Mourinho, of course. It's a very different
Chelsea.
situation.
Yeah.
Maybe Chelsea need a man manager, charismatic. We talked off air about Cesc Fabregas doing very well in Italy.
Mate, I would have Cesc Fabregas now. Literally now.
Maybe you could say Cesc Fabregas hasn't achieved the same things as Enzo Maresca as a manager, which I still think is probably a dubious thing to say anyway. But let's just say Enzo Maresca is more experienced than Fabregas. I'd still rather play for Fabregas.
Yeah.
Because of who he is as a footballer.
The other thing
World Cup winner,
mate,
Champions League winner.
Fabregas I would love. I would bring Fabregas in now. I love him. He's one of my favourite ever Chelsea players. I just think he's brilliant. He's also at least as good a manager as Maresca.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. And the problem that we have at the moment is we have no real ideology. There's no real rapport between the manager and the fans and whatever. And so many of the players are so average. When you think about the players that have been signed under this ownership, how many of them are good? Really? Yeah, so Cole Palmer looks great. Esteval looks brilliant.
Esteval's great.
Right. Enzo Fernandez is rubbish. I don't care, pretend. Enzo Fernandez is rubbish.
I like Garnacho. I think it's a decent price for what he could be. He could be. I listened to you roars about that, but Cucurella's a good signing.
Yeah, Cucurella's fine.
Gusto.
No, Gusto's no
like Gusto?
No, Gusto's no good. Tosin Adarabioyo's no good.
I don't know. What's concerning for me is that their winning goal. It's all in good. If they
the amount of time to pick the pass,
ball up, and it's where are your lads running?
Where's
from?
our midfield? And don't get me wrong. Adarabioyo has to put a challenge in.
Of course, yeah,
but he doesn't.
No.
But equally, it would be helpful if a central midfielder would potentially help him out.
There was a gap. It was almost like. When you watch when you get to a football stadium early and they let the kids take a charity penalty.
Yeah.
It was an empty pitch. I was this is the 95th minute at Stamford Bridge.
It is a real worry. But I think that there just has to be almost a redefinition of what our aspirations are. We're dreaming of Champions League qualification.
Again, just maintaining.
That's it. We're dreaming of Champions League qualifications because we can beat Liverpool in the way that we did, but that result isn't looking quite as surprising now as it did at the time. But we can always lose to a Sunderland. We can always lose, drop points to a Brentford. We can always do that.
Of course, yeah.
And that's the problem that we have. And, this ownership, this constant desire to never sign experienced players is costing us massively. Do you know why Arsenal are going to win the league? Because they went and they signed Eberechi Eze, for example, right? Chelsea, if we wanted to win the league, we would have sold Madueke and bought Eze. Not sold Madueke and bought Garnacho.
Yeah, signed Declan Rice a few years ago.
Exactly. Signed Declan Rice a few years ago.
Maybe.
Signed Isak. Exactly.
We have to talk about Sunderland very quickly. It's the best start that a promoted side have ever had since Hull City in 2008-9, which is a minor miracle.
They're staying up, aren't they?
I thought the record would be a little bit closer to maybe 2015-16. We're talking about a record so good, it's almost in 2 separate decades away from where we currently are. It's incredible.
What was it? 08? 08,
09, it must have been Phil Brown's
and they
Phil
obviously
Brown's
stayed
Hull
up
City.
that year. They must.
Yeah, they were pushing for Europe, and it's one of them like kind of... And a lot of clubs used to do that. Wigan with Paul Jewell did that, and they nearly got into Europe, etc. Stoke with Tony Pulis. They're going to survive. They've already beaten Southampton's points total last season. It's now a question whether Sunderland have got the quality to get into Europe. Can they push for the Europa Conference League? Can they push to win a cup? That's how good they are.
That's how good they are.
They've got a young squad, new signings. They're all gelling. They're all playing for the
They've got so
team.
much confidence in each other as well. You know that goal that you spoke about Chelsea conceded?
Yeah.
Watch it again. And next time you watch it,
The
don't
winning
watch the goal, the winning goal.
Yeah.
Don't watch the winning goal. Watch Granit Xhaka.
Oh, yeah.
He celebrates. They're so confident in one another that he celebrates before the geezer even hits it.
Really? Yeah.
He knows it's a goal.
And he doesn't know any of these guys. They're all brand new to him.
Nah, but they've got...
He's by far the best signing of the summer transfer window.
Their fans went potty, their players went potty, their manager went potty.
Is he the best transfer of the window?
He's up there.
By country mile?
He's
better than any of the City transfers. I love a lot of the deals that we've done.
maybe in
Liverpool?
Burmo. Maybe in
I'd
Burmo.
rather have Granit Xhaka than him, but it's a different position, of course. But
yeah.
I don't know if Mbeumo keeps Sunderland up in the same way Xhaka. I mean, Xhaka's...
No, if Xhaka keeps them up...
You know, he scored that goal against you lot. Remember, he touched it down. I think he fell over, but...
No, if he keeps...
This kid's world class.
Yeah.
He's a world class player playing at Sunderland.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
And also, he's like dictating it all, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's the tempo, he's the belief.
My only thing for Sunderland is they don't get in over their heads. Let's say they finish the season 9th, which I think they could, 10th, 8th. Then they start the season slow next season, they sack him. I hope that doesn't happen. But I think they can build. I think they can become a dynasty in the Premier League, Sunderland.